Okay,
Ooh.
so there's a cool. So he was able to get himself a gear drop on that one. So he got a hardened nano suit,
which would actually up my defense by another plus 55.
Yeah, so he can go to the store now. Let's take a look at the store. So we can
Sure.
take a look at his inventory in the store there, and he beat a campaign. Nice. So he's hitting the backpack icon down at the bottom, which is the inventory, and we can kind of scroll through that a bit. If we jump to the armor first, we can see the armor that he was given.
So this is the one that I have on right now, and this is the new one that I got, which is an improvement. I lose a little ranged power, but it looks bigger and bulkier and has more defense, so I'll equip it. But while I'm here, I do have a little extra cash. And I maybe upgrade my helmet.
Yeah, and you can see off to the side there by the description a series of question marks too. So the game has a help system, so you know what each one of the different abilities and attributes of the gear can do for you.
You want to talk a little bit when you get anything about range versus melee combat?
Sure. Is there a specific question?
How is it handled, range versus melee?
Okay, so somebody asked a question about range versus melee combat, and we can talk about that. Oh, we can talk about that as we get into the game.
Try and get something here.
So again, this is Dave going through the different echoes that he owns, and then deciding what's best for this mission that he's going to go on. Looks like he's going to take a couple of actives this time. Whoop. And then this is the part where he's able to pick his friends. So you see some names up at the top. You can see the different echoes that are presented to him to choose, and this is his buddy that he's going to take along with him. So he's taking somebody named Jeans. Didn't say that. So, tell us about the ranged weapon you got there, Dave.
So I have a rocket launcher right now, which is really good for kind of hitting things in corridors because it has AoE damage. So you could see when guys will start bunching up, as they pinch through some of these funnels, multiple people will take damage, which is great, because especially if you try to kite some things and they'll kind of take some of that because most of the ranged weapons are kind of a lot more just one target focused, and that's kind of the difference with the melee is that I can have a one target focus with my leaping attack, but when I'm actually swinging, it'll actually kind of swipe and do kind of area effect. So that was kind of an attack that allowed me to push people back. So I was able to get a little bit of distance between me and the enemy.
Yeah, and the mechanical difference between ranged combat and melee combat. So with ranged combat, you can click on an enemy and you'll shoot at them automatically. You can hold your finger down on an enemy and it'll keep shooting. When they close in on you and you switch to melee, which happens automatically when they're next to you, you're going to swing your sword automatically. You need to repeatedly tap. Dave's using his abilities really well though there. So you need to repeatedly tap to swing the sword. And then as you saw earlier, we have all the different attributes around the different weapons and that help you customize your gameplay, and some of the echoes that you take can also make you stronger at melee or stronger at range. Dave can do that swiping attack that you saw. So swiping towards an enemy makes you jump in the air and do the dodge attack.
You want to talk a little bit about boss fights?
Sure. So somebody asked about boss fights. We have several bosses in the game, so each one of the different enemy sets has bosses plus some more kind of sprinkled in later in the game. But basically that's a chance for, it's what you think it is. It's facing against a giant boss. You'll be in a single room against them. They take up most of the screen, and they behave pretty differently. So you'll see guys with rocket barrages, with lasers that spin around and cover the whole room. But it's a really cool, different way to play the game. You have to think about it pretty differently when you go into a boss fight battle. You have to think about what type of gear you want to take really specifically for those. But it's just a really cool, different way to play the game, and it looks and sounds awesome.
And we also have the thing of these kind of mini bosses in ways. So kind of more advanced units, we call them elites and champions. They'll have kind of extra levels of behavior. So if you see when I shoot and kill this burner character, he'll just die. But when I actually shoot and destroy the elite burner, this blue one that's coming up. If I stay too close,
level up.
yeah, ding. If I stay too close, I'm going to end up taking damage. So it's one of those things that helps kind of move you. And here's a champion right here, which he just has a lot more hit points. Will basically be not very nice to me. So I'll slow him down with ice, take him out.
So somebody's asking about number of hours of gameplay. So we have what's our level cap these days, Dave? We're 50.
Yep.
So our level cap is 50 in the game. You can get through. There's basically a main storyline to the game that you can follow if you want to. Probably take between 10 and 12 hours. But there's tons and tons of side missions that you can go on, tons and tons of side quests that you can go on to extend your gameplay. And then after the main storyline is complete, the game generates even more story or more levels for you to play after that, so it kind of goes on forever. And the cool way our system is set up, it's using a dynamic system to create different scenarios for you. So a lot of times you'll see, if I were to play the game and Dave were to play the game and we were to talk about it, you'll see different enemies and different layouts of the enemies in different missions. So the game is doing a lot of dynamic stuff in the background. So it's doing some remixing, but really providing you a different experience every time you play, which is cool.
Yeah, we like to have like a bunch of different types of missions. I've actually been taking a lot of assaults. I'll have to try and figure that out of trying to show you guys like some different types, because we have defend missions, we have ones that are kind of timed, we have other ones. Oh, that was not smart.
Yeah,
we have
endless missions.
Yeah, endless missions. We have kind of like ones where you basically just have to survive for X amount of time. So, and like Chris was saying, you kind of like mix those. So you don't know. It's not a linear thing. We do have story campaigns that are somewhat linear, but a lot of side stuff that will sprinkle in a lot of kind of more random content. And so here's another ability I have that kind of like slows down time, and I can actually like swipe on the screen to generate a little toxic barrier. So then when guys will walk across it, they'll end up taking damage. And much like Chris said in the beginning, it's those types of things that even just happen naturally. Of course, when we start making an action RPG type of game, it's like, oh, well, we want some abilities that'll hit multiple targets, and we want to be able to have heals and things like that. And those are kind of obvious for the game type. But other ones that are obvious for the type of game that we're doing on a touch device is using those types of things that we have of, hey, 2 fingers to block, swipe to dodge and attack, but also having those for the ability. So, I can kind of like slow down time and kind of, get all of my targets kind of lined up to take damage there.
Yeah, and that was one of the very first things we prototyped when we started thinking about the game. From the beginning, it was making sure that we had the touch input right, making sure it's fun on an iPad, and then how do we extend that to make it feel like you're really controlling the character and you're really controlling his powers. And the touch devices really, really shine on that, being able to draw on the ground and slow time and pick multiple targets feels very, very cool on the device.
And one of the reasons we did want to show this a little bit later is as you see now, like the encounters, like they get more challenging. There's more guys on the screen. You saw that different types of encounters were in there. Like there's this guy here who's basically putting a buff on all of the guys that are kind of around him. And if I stay too close to that swipe attack, it'll take down a good portion of my health.
And one good tip is to always avoid the green vomit that comes out of aliens.
Yeah, you would think green is good, but not
Right.
in this game. It
Right.
doesn't seem like that works out that way.
Fortunately, Dave can draw green vomit on the ground himself.
That is true. Thanks for the reminder, Chris.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can find some different mission types.
Yes.
We'll go back to the star map. Yeah, so someone's asking if there's a high score system in place. So if you're on Game Center, there's a couple of different leaderboards you can look at, and you can compare yourself to your friends or the community. You can look at total kills, you can look at number of echoes that you've collected, and you can look at your player level in Game Center and compare those three stats with your buddies. And then we have the achievements and stuff as well.
Early in this campaign, so that I'm just going to finish this last chamber and see what opens up. And if nothing different opens up, then I'll go into a arena mission.
Again, Dave using the environment to his advantage, blowing up the vat.
And I also have this passive ability called Quick Shots. So it already feels like I actually fire a lot of rockets at once, but now I have a Quick Shot ability, thanks to my friend Gene, that basically will fire an extra, has a chance to fire an extra rocket every once in a while.
Gene is a very good helper.
He is.
I highly recommend you friend him in Game Center.
After this mission, there's someone asking about IAPs.
Okay.
So after this mission, kind of show people the emblem,
Sure.
what that's for.
So someone's asking about IPs and how that whole system works in the game. So I can talk about it here as we're playing along. Actually, you may see Dave awarded an emblem at the end of this mission. So basically, the game works to where the entire game is set up to where you don't need to think about IAPs at all. So you've bought the game, you play through the game. It's never something you have to think about. So what we do have, though, is a system for you to buy different emblems, which are also given to you for free as you play the game, and you can put those emblems into anything you want. You can put them towards gear or boosts or
Amplifying echoes.
Amplifying echoes so that they become veterans faster.
And in this instance, I'm level 12, and I have 30 emblems. I never purchased any emblems. Like what Chris is talking about, I've actually get rewarded emblems as I level up, so I got 11 more for leveling up, and I also get emblems for every time I locate an echo and every time they upgrade to veteran. So, just an hour or so, I think my playtime is, an hour and a half at this point, I'm already up to 30 emblems.
Cool.
And as you could see, there's, you could some of the weapons have you can kind of figure out which one you want to use to purchase, but we tried to make it kind of the peak of the tier that you can have within your level range is still kind of protected, like it's still the credit only kind of purchase.
Right, and then the purchases that we allow in the game are more emblems.
Yeah, so you can have more emblems, there.
Yeah, we can show you the boost next time we go back into the store. So you can do things like get your XP faster and collect gold faster. Credits faster.
iOS devices are supported.
So for iOS devices, it's iPad 2, iPhone 4S, and I believe it's the 5th gen iPod Touch and forward is the way we set it up, and basically iOS 5 and forward.
So this is a different type of mission where basically I have to just survive for a minute and a half. And, I guess it's all against cutters in this type of mission. So I'm going to try and pace my abilities out because it'll start out somewhat slow, but then, pick up as the time goes on. And so these cutters feel like they're pretty easy because they're what we classified as kind of a fodder type of kind of encounter, but the kind of upgraded ones, which are kind of the silver cutters, actually have a chance to reflect your rockets at you. So I have to be a little careful of that. So luckily my encounters have been against the base guys so far.
Yeah, and of course these fodder guys, the more you get on the screen, the tougher it becomes. They seem weak at first, but once you start getting 10, 12 or more on the screen, it becomes really challenging. And this is another chance where you want to really consider what echoes you're taking into a mission before you go into it. If you know you're in a survival mission, you probably want to take area effect style echoes, so something like that, kind of a fire burst, or you saw earlier Dave was using
The freeze blast, yeah.
Was that? Yeah, the freeze blast. So thinking about things that will protect you when you're completely surrounded is a good idea.
Well, I guess I got blessed being a little bit random to where the encounter wasn't